Ena pale sakta nibhadyate. The steadily devoted soul attains unadulterated peace because he offers the results of all activities to me. Whereas a person who is not in union with the divine, who is greedy for the fruits of his labor, becomes entangled. Text 13. Sarva karmani manasa sanyasyaste sukham vashi navadvare pure dehi naiva kurvan karayan. When the embodied living being controls his nature and mentally renounces all actions, he resides happily in the city of nine gates, the material body, neither working nor causing work to be done. Text 14. Nakartvatam nakarmani lokasya srijati prabhu nakarma pala samyogam swabhavastu pavartate. The embodied spirit, master of the city of his body, does not create activities, nor does he induce people to act, nor does he create the fruits of action. All this is enacted by the modes of material nature. Text 15. Nadate kasyachit papam nachaiva sukritam vibhu agyane vartam agyanam tena muyanti jantava. Nor does the Supreme Spirit assume anyone's sinful or pious activities. Embodied beings, however, are bewildered because of the ignorance which covers their real knowledge. Text 16. Jnanena tu taragyanam yesham nashitam atmana tesham adhyatadjnanam prakashayati tatparam. Translation: when, however, one is enlightened with the knowledge by which nescience is destroyed, then this knowledge reveals everything, as the sun lights up everything in the daytime. Okay, back to text number 6. Text 6. Unless one is engaged in the devotional service of the Lord, mere renunciation of activities cannot make one happy. The sages, purified by works of devotion, achieve the supreme without delay. Purport. There are two classes of sannyasis, or persons in the renounced order of life. The Mayavadi sannyasis are engaged in the study of Sankhya philosophy, whereas the Vaishnava sannyasis are engaged in the study of Bhagavatam philosophy, which affords the proper commentary on the Vedanta Sutras. The Mayavadi sannyasis also study the Vedanta Sutras, but use their own commentary called Shariraka Bhashya, written by Shankaracharya. The students of the Bhagavata school are engaged in devotional service of the Lord, according to Pancharatriki regulations. And therefore, the Vaishnava sannyasis have multiple engagements in the transcendental service of the Lord. The Vaishnava sannyasis have nothing to do with material activities, and yet they perform various activities in their devotional service to the Lord. But the Mayavadi sannyasis, engaged in the studies of Sankhya and Vedanta and speculation, cannot relish transcendental service of the Lord. Because their studies become very tedious, they sometimes become tired of Brahman speculation, and thus they take shelter of the Bhagavatam without proper understanding. Consequently, their study of the Srimad Bhagavatam becomes troublesome. Dry speculations and impersonal interpretations by artificial means are all useless for the Mayavadi sannyasis. The Vaishnava sannyasis who are engaged in devotional service are happy in the discharge of their transcendental duties, and they have the guarantee of ultimate entrance into the kingdom of God. The Mayavadi sannyasis sometimes fall down from the path of self-realization and again enter into material activities of a philanthropic and altruistic nature, which are nothing but material engagements. Therefore, the conclusion is that those who are engaged in Krishna consciousness are better situated than the sannyasis engaged in simple Brahman speculation, although they too come to Krishna consciousness after many births. We would love to hear any of Maharaj's comments.
Vaishnava sannyasis engage in all kinds of activities. Sometimes they may be seen even going to a bank. Prabhupada gave that himself as an example. But that doesn't mean it's material. When a Vaishnava sannyasi goes to the bank, it means he's dealing with funds, but he knows the owner is Krishna. He's acting as the attorney, the empowered attorney. He's acting on behalf of the Lord. And because Krishna is doing different things, or spreading the Sankirtan movement, and his devotees are assisting him, they also help in all these activities. So sometimes the Mayavadi sannyasis, they criticize the Vaishnava sannyasis. They think they're engaged in material activities because they see them maybe driving in cars, going to the bank, or even they allow women in their facilities. But although the Vaishnava sannyasis, they allow all these things going on, but they're all with Krishna in the center. There's no activities there that are against the principles of Dharma. Therefore, they can't be blamed for their activities. They're trying to preach. And Krishna says, that anyone who preaches my message in Bhagavad Gita is the most dear to me. This is in Bhagavad Gita itself. So one can't criticize the Vaishnava sannyasis for their type of helping the Lord in all these matters of rescuing the fallen souls that are lost in the ocean of material existence. They're going out on the Lord's behalf to pull them in one after another.
Thank you, Maharaj. Yeah, so the Mayavad sannyasis are accepting their knowledge or taking their knowledge from the commentaries Shariraka Bhashya by Shankaracharya. Whereas the Vaishnava sannyasis are taking their knowledge from the Bhagavatam, which is the essence of the Vedanta sutras and the essence of the Vedic knowledge. Shishigoni Tai Ki Jai. And so the reality that's being propounded of the absolute given in the Mayavad philosophy is not complete. It doesn't actually account for so many things there's so many features that are actually present in that reality as we understand it from the Bhagavatam. Variety, activities, things like that. Because we understand that the supreme truth, which is Prameti Paramatmeti Bhagavaniti Shabdite. So it's three. We understand that we understand it in layers of realization. And ultimately we understand that the highest realization of the absolute truth is as a Chinta Beta Beta, meaning the absolute truth is replete. Krishna is replete with qualities, unlimited qualities, name, form, and pastimes, and all of these are of the same nature. So like that, he's actually also Advaita. He's non-dual. All of the variety that's present in reality, in the absolute reality, is all of the same spiritual nature. And so Satchidananda, and so that the Bhagavad philosophy accounts for that, and the full spectrum of reality is given, whereas the Mayavad philosophy has artificially divorced the supreme truth of his inherent qualities. Um, and so all that is left is some speculative understanding of Brahman. And Prabhupada makes the point that actually this is not even satisfying to them because most of them fall down um, from their path and they enter into material activities. And so, you know, that's evidence, that's practical evidence to see that actually their that understanding is not complete. It's not fully satisfying because it doesn't account for everything that's actually there as we understand it from the Bhagavatam. So, we can go on to the next text, text 7. One who works in devotion, who is a pure soul, and who controls his mind and senses is dear to everyone, and everyone is dear to him. Though always working, such a man is never entangled. Purport. One who is on the path of liberation by Krishna consciousness is very dear to every living being, and every living being is dear to him. This is due to his Krishna consciousness. Such a person cannot think of any living being as separate from Krishna. Just as leaves and branches of a tree are not separate from the tree, he knows very well that by pouring water on the root of the tree, the water will be distributed to all the leaves and branches, or by supplying food to the stomach, the energy will automatically be distributed throughout the body. Because one who works in Krishna consciousness is servant to all, he is very dear to everyone. And because everyone is satisfied by his work, he is pure in consciousness. Because he is pure in consciousness, his mind is completely controlled. And because his mind is controlled, his senses are also controlled. Because his mind is always fixed on Krishna, there is no chance of his being deviated from Krishna, nor is there a chance that he will engage in his senses, nor he will engage his senses in matters other than the service of the Lord. He does not like to hear anything except topics relating to Krishna. He does not like to eat anything which is not offered to Krishna, and he does not wish to go anywhere if Krishna is not involved. Therefore, his senses are controlled. A man of controlled senses cannot be offensive to anyone. One may ask, quote, why then was Arjuna offensive in battle to others? Wasn't he in Krishna consciousness? End quote. Arjuna was also superficially offensive because, as has already been explained in the second chapter, all the assembled persons on the battlefield would continue to live individually as the soul cannot be slain. So spiritually, no one was killed on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Only their dresses were changed by the order of Krishna, who was personally present. Therefore, Arjuna, while fighting on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, was not really fighting at all. He was simply carrying out the orders of Krishna in full Krishna consciousness. Such a person is never entangled in the reactions of work. Seems like most people are very anxious to do something good with their lives, and there's a lot of problems in the material world, and people, they want to dedicate themselves to, you know, being a solution for one of those problems, most people. And so they pick something that is meaningful to them. If they have family members from Israel, then they're going to be very active about the Israel thing. And if they feel very strongly about, their identifications with their sexuality, they might join some movement like a trans movement or homosexual movement or something, and then feel very strongly about that. Or if they are compassionate to some degree, they might resonate with some animal rights movements, so many different welfare activities. that are there, but all of them are more or less incomplete because okay, so you're working to take care of one group of people, but what about all the other people? You know, you can't you've only got so much time and energy. How will you how will you solve all the problems in the world? You know, how will you solve your problems? You know, so this is a problem in and of itself. Um, it's really nice because Krishna consciousness offers the solution. You know, just simply dedicate your life to serving Krishna, and because all living entities come from Krishna, then, as a matter of fact, you're spreading awareness for the benefit of all living entities. It's not just spreading awareness for one kind of living entity in a particular kind of body and situation, you know, because that's all these movements are doing. They're just spreading awareness for gays or, Black Lives Matter or, you know, awareness for people in white bodies or awareness for people in poor situations, save the whales, whale awareness, but actually by spreading awareness of Krishna, then we're simultaneously, you know, spreading awareness of, the condition of all living entities who are in all different bodies and the fact that they're all, parts of Krishna, eternal fragmental parts of Krishna. And so, like that, we come to a real platform of equality, and we can solve all the problems. So Krishna consciousness is offering so many different solutions, just like in Christianity. It's like their conception of sinful activities and atonement for sinful activities is not complete because they're thinking that the solution to performing sinful activities is to just perform some kind of confession. um so they're thinking, okay, I'm gonna go and perform some sinful activity, and then I'll go confess, and then again I'll perform sinful activity, so my solution is confession, but I'm actually not solving the problem, stopping the sinful activity. And so the real solution is to chant Hare Krishna. That's the real process of atonement and the process of purification, because they don't know that most people don't know that actually why they're committing sin is because they're listening to things outside of, you know, knowledge of Krishna, and speaking things outside of Krishna and seeing things outside of Krishna. And so their mind is not controlled. And in this way, um, they're committing sinful activities, offenses towards other living entities, you know, conditioned consciousness, these are my people, these are not my people, treat these people poorly, take care of these people. And then senses are contaminated, so they want to enjoy so many contaminated things. Actually, the solution is simple. This one solution is just to chant Hare Krishna. And that is the highest welfare activity for all people. So Krishna consciousness is the only thing, the only movement, the only solution. It's the only movement that's presenting a solution. No other movement is presenting any solutions. Simply just spreading some misunderstandings. You know, so we have the complete knowledge here, given by the complete person. And this dharma, this knowledge, the laws of reality coming from Krishna. It's coming from the complete person. So we have to have faith, complete faith that that this is worthy of our time, and our investigation. Then with that little bit of faith, we can invest in it, and then that investment goes a long way because then we have realization, and then we can go about helping people. We'll be convinced that the benefit of chanting Hare Krishna is real. You know, I'm actually controlling my mind and my senses, purifying my life, and I'm serving Krishna, and my relationship with all other living entities becomes very sweet, and I'm satisfied because Krishna is reciprocating with me, and I'm reciprocating with Krishna, and so everything becomes very sweet, and consciousness becomes restored to its perfect state. So this is the only solution, Krishna consciousness. Okay, text 8 through 9. A person in the divine consciousness, although engaged in seeing, hearing, touching, smelling, eating, moving about, sleeping, and breathing, always knows within himself that he actually does nothing at all. Because while speaking, evacuating, receiving, opening, or closing his eyes, he always knows that only the material senses are engaged with their objects and that he is aloof from them. A person in Krishna consciousness is pure in his existence, and consequently, he has nothing to do with any work which depends upon five immediate and remote causes: the doer, the work, the situation, the endeavor, and fortune. This is because he is engaged in the loving transcendental service of Krishna. Although he appears to be acting with his body and senses, he is always conscious of his actual position, which is spiritual engagement. In material consciousness, the senses are engaged in sense gratification, but in Krishna consciousness, the senses are engaged in the satisfaction of Krishna's senses. Therefore, the Krishna conscious person is always free, even though he appears to be engaged in things of the senses. Activities such as seeing, hearing, speaking, evacuating, etc., are actions of the senses meant for work. A Krishna consciousness a Krishna consciousness person is never affected by the actions of the senses. He cannot perform any act except in the service of the Lord, because he knows that he is the eternal servitor of the Lord. So Krishna has transcendental senses, and we have senses. My senses are currently being engaged in material activities, and so they're material. Because Krishna has senses, I can engage my senses in satisfying his senses, and then I can purify my senses, purify my consciousness, purify my activities and my work. And like that, none of my activities, none of my work will cause me any more bondage. That's one side of it. I won't be suffering the reactions of my activities because I'll be perfectly engaged in serving Krishna's senses with my senses. So then you come to the spiritual platform of existence where there's nothing but, ecstasy and bliss, so that's what we're after. But because there's a lack of education, in society, there's not so many people who actually know about the Bhagavad Gita, about the Vedic culture, about Srila Prabhupada. So there's a lack of education, and RBC is so amazing because it's one such center in which people can come and they can get educated in the full, in the real thing, the full thing, and then they can go out and then they can teach people. And this is the real welfare activity. And like that, we're actually doing something. We're doing the real thing. We're doing the only thing, you know. Otherwise, I'll just be in ignorance and I'll be thinking, I want to be happy. I want to do good work. I want to help people and I want to change the world. But ultimately, seeking happiness, only thing I can find pleasure in is sense gratification, and then so I'll be engaging my senses in those activities, and then eventually at some point realize, wow, this is horrible, and then be so entangled. But with this knowledge, Everything is given to us. Everything is illumined, and we can see. What's the best use of my time? What's the best use of other people's time? How can I help engage them in those activities, and how can I help, uh, you know, connect them to that the ecstasy of devotional service, you know. And it's simple. It's really simple. It's simple and it's ecstatic. We're chanting, we're singing, we're dancing, we're feasting, we're just going out and connecting to people, and by dint of our sadhana and our practice, they can see that there's something different there. And they derive pleasure from interacting with the devotees, and they derive peace from interacting with the devotees, and so whatever we do, it's like we have a nice temple program, and then we go out, and we don't have to do much, but we just have to say hi to people and interact with them. And because we're becoming purified, just whatever little simple thing we're able to give them, they become purified and they become happy. And they see, wow, that was a nice interaction, so we don't have to, of course, Srila Prabhupada has big plans, and his servants have big plans. But if we're not able to fully realize those things and manifest that, then we just, Prabhupada has given us everything, he's given us everything. It's crazy. He came here with nothing, and started the whole ISKCON movement, and if someone were to send me right now, if somebody were to send me anywhere with only $7 and some cloth and ask me to do something amazing like Prabhupada did, I wouldn't be, the only hope I would have would be to find the nearest ISKCON temple, you know, and get myself there. And so Prabhupada has given that to us. It's totally amazing. But anyway, so we have this nice program, and given to us. Everything has been given, by Prabhupada. So we have to follow it nicely. And whatever we do, we go to the grocery store, we're getting boga, you know, we see somebody and we say hi and we just have a conversation with them, you know, that in one sense is preaching because they're associating with you and they're appreciating, a devotee. And so it's really nice, that we can be engaged nicely in the temple, and then we'll go out and we don't have to work so hard for the welfare of this group and that group and that group and that group, because already we're doing the highest thing we could be doing, so it's very simple and very ecstatic, this process. Yes, Prabhu.
Can I make some comments?
Of course.
Yeah, I like this. I like this point that you just kind of ended with. That we should be confident. We don't have to get super mental or carried away with what other people think is a good way to spend our time and energy, because we have this good philosophy. That I like this point that you mentioned where you're saying say hi, and that's the main thing that um yeah, like Marsh was saying. Marsh made the point. uh I wrote it down, but basically that they go out, the devotees, the Vaishnavas, they go out on behalf of the Lord to um to pull, how did he word it? and they go out on behalf of the Lord to pull them in one after another. So then it's like, how do we pull somebody in? Well, there's an example. If you have a fruit, you can't pull a fruit off the tree if it's not ripe. And if you try, that, like, if you just imagine an unripe fruit, it's very hard. So it doesn't break off. It's very, the whole fruit is very much attached to the tree. So I was hearing a devotee speak, and he was saying, so he was being maybe facetious. You're saying, okay, so if you go up and you pick a fruit and you know it's it's not ripe, so you just pull it so hard that you break the branch off, and then you pull the branch all the way back to your house. You know, is it like that? No. The better thing is time and energy is if you just basically if you just touch the fruit very gently and it's ripe, it'll come right off. So this saying hi, it's so potent because Krishna is in the heart, and you know, in one sense, we can try to size people up and to see if they're ripe without even asking them. But we're all Krishna empowers us to perceive it. Like, say we want to know, who can I give this Krishna consciousness to? Who can I give the overflow from my sadhana right now? So then we want to know, and Krishna wants us to know because that's his desire too. So he reciprocates. But it's really easy to know when you say hi. Because what are we looking for? We're looking for somebody who is interested to receive the gift. Receive the gift. So then there's like a radar. And as we practice this, if we just say hi to enough people, literally, you raise your hand, hi. And if they're like, whoa, you're really, you're talking to me? Then which, oh, well, this guy's obviously ripe. And if they don't even want to have anything to do with this, better leave that one on the branch. So I really like this point, and I've been afraid, many times, many times. I am surrounded by people, and basically that means I have unlimited opportunities to see who's ripe. But a little bit of fear is there sometimes, but it's not like we have to do everything at once. Just start small. Say hi. Give a smile, or, just a hello. Anyway, so I really appreciate that point from you, Prabhu. The other thing that I wanted to say was that the last thing was that it was kind of a reflection on this point from the seventh verse purport. Prabhupada says, he talks about the leaf, the watering the roots. And then right after, he starts this series of sentences, which is very interesting to me. He says, because one who works in Krishna consciousness is servant to all, he is very dear to everyone. And because everyone is satisfied with his work, he is pure in consciousness. Because he is pure in consciousness, his mind is completely controlled. And because his mind is controlled, his senses are also controlled. Because his mind is always fixed on Krishna, there's no chance of being deviated from Krishna. Nor is there a chance that he will engage his senses in matters other than the service of the Lord. So I was thinking, okay, this Prabhupada starts this whole thing after he gives the analogy He says, because one who works in Krishna consciousness is a servant to all. So then I was reflecting, Prabhupada would stress that so much. Get busy, serve Krishna, do some work hard. We work very hard for Krishna too. You know, we work hard for Krishna with on a subtle level. Some devotees are engaged more subtly, some are engaged more grossly, but the principle is the same. It's hard work for Krishna service. And that's the start of the whole thing, which eventually leads to undeviated Krishna consciousness, 100% engagement in Krishna service, which is our constitutional position. So then I was thinking, okay, work is the stress point. Just get engaged and work for Krishna. Then from there, all these progressive steps come. That was just something that I kind of stuck out. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu, for pointing that out. That's really nice. Yeah. Like when somebody gives their money to, whatever, Taco Bell or something, literally only benefiting nothing, nobody. But when they give their money to the book distributors, that money actually that individual who gives his money to the book distributor, he actually um becomes a servant to everybody, because that's our real connection. This Krishna consciousness is our real connection with each other. And so um that individual, we're doing the highest service for that individual, and then also actually all other individuals as well. So such a little simple act. We can't take it for granted that I'm not doing anything. I'm just selling some books, but actually no, I'm benefiting all living entities, because all living entities are connected, eternally connected to Krishna. So that simple act, that individual, he he is engaged in that eternal service. Um, and then that is the start to his journey to becoming, uh, having his mind always fixed on Krishna, without any chance of ever being deviated from him. So he'll be situated in pure devotional service in just a matter of time, because he already engaged uh, he already worked for Krishna, by giving his money to the book distributor. And so, yeah, that's a really nice point. Also, with the first point you made really quickly with the reciprocate, just small steps, all it takes is some small step, a very small step, and Krishna reciprocates almost immediately with that. Like I had the other day, I was neglecting the attic, and I just kind of rearranged some things, put things in a pile, things that I'm going to take out. And I didn't even take them out yet. I just put them in a pile. And then I went to the park, and immediately some guy came. He found me, and he was like totally nice, and he sat down and did kirtan with me, you know, and he's coming tomorrow for some lunch. And so it's like all I did was just make one little step, you know, towards Krishna, and Krishna gave me a reason to keep going. Now I have a reason to fully or now I have incentive. I have some incentive to take the next step, and then Krishna reciprocates even more and more and more and more, you know. And so it's very sweet. Krishna consciousness is very sweet, and it's very practical, and we can see immediate results, and everything is very nice. It's okay. I think we can end there. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.